And like to call the meeting to order and ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Leslie, roll call, please.
Mark DePace.
Here.
Amanda Grubler.
Here.
Kirsten Gustafson.
Here.
Diana Howard.
Here.
Matthew Mackerer.
Here.
Maureen Sheridan.
Here.
Michael Sabella.
Here.
And Labona Prova.
Here.
Okay. Do want to apologize in advance. We will have an early executive session today. Try and keep it as short as possible. But outside of that, I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? And that brings us to the student representative report.
In the high school, quarter one has just finished. Next week there will be a spirit week in the high school. The next Monday will be Dress as Your Type Day. Tuesday will be Grim Reaper / Blackout. Wednesday will be We Wear Pink as an homage to breast cancer awareness. Thursday will be White Lies, and Friday will be Costume Day. There is currently a lot of hall sweeps every period in the high school due to the fact there's a lot of lingering students in the hallways, maybe accessing their phones. I've gone through them. They're pretty efficient. I haven't seen. After the bell ring, everyone goes to their class, so I think they're effective. So Powder Puff has been rescheduled due to the girls' volleyball team advancing to sectionals. The golf team are champions in the Patroon Conference. Unity Day is tomorrow, October 22nd, for awareness for kindness and bullying. For student council, we decided to give the student body more of a voice, so we put up a poster in the cafeteria to allow them to write down what they think about the school. There's a lot of community service events going around for students, including Trunk or Treat and the ability to volunteer for the Ghostly Gallop. The varsity club is holding a multitude of stuff, including a blood drive happening on November 17th, and there will also be a volleyball tournament happening on December 6th. I saw on the agenda that there is approval for the Model UN field trip. Unfortunately, we cannot go because there was an issue with approval, transportation, and the club itself, the club members. I wanted to go into a broader issue of this. For academic teams, it is hard and there's no clear funding for transportation. And with new administration, there is a struggle to understand the process to get transportation approval. So we were thinking of having a policy to prevent / resolve this problem. That is it.
Thank you.
Got it. Sorry to hear about the Model UN issues. We can definitely ask the administration more about that and make sure it doesn't happen in the future. Next, that brings us to presentations. First, we have a presentation from the high school administrative team on opening of high school and Blue Hawk Academy.
We're very grateful to be joined by Mr. Reardon, Mr. Walker tonight. This is very short. We're very grateful to be joined by Mr. Reardon and Mr. Walker tonight to talk through some of the elements of the high school. This is the first of a series of 3 presentations this month, November and December. Junior high will present in November and the elementary in December. And really, I asked Mr. Reardon to focus in on what are the priorities, the key priorities for our high school this year. It supersedes some of the strategic plan issues, or I should say complements some of the strategic plan issues, because it's real data and real needs of the students in the high school right now. And each of the buildings will present similarly. And Mr. Walker and Mr. Reardon will fill us in on Blue Hawk Academy. It has evolved over the past 3 years. I've learned a lot about the program and what the program is attempting to do, serving all students. In this component, a small percentage of all of our students, but they are all of our students. And you know, actively seeking to get every child to graduation with what they need. So I'll hand it over to Mr. Reardon.
Thanks, Dr. Bailey. Well, he told you what the presentation is going to be about, so I don't need to go through that. So next slide, we have priorities for the high school this year. So 4 big priorities. Chronic absenteeism. Absenteeism certainly is a major barrier for learning and engagement of our students, so that's a focus in the high school. Increased graduation rate, ensuring more of our students are graduating in 4 years is also a priority. Improve the academic performance on tests. So part of this is going to be increasing Regents test scores. And I'm also going to talk about, we have a new assessment that we're using in the high school and all the buildings in the district this year, which I'll touch on. And then to strengthen a restorative school culture. So we've had a grant previously in the high school, so we received it again, and we have a core team in the high school that works together and do things with faculty and students related to restorative practices. And that it builds relationships and fosters belonging with the staff and students. So chronic absenteeism. So we want to reduce it in the high school by 5%. Again, chronically absent is students that miss on average 2 days or more a month, which is 10%. So we again want to reduce that by 5%. With the bullets up there, it's early interventions. You have them in front of you, attendance meetings, and monitoring it on a weekly basis. We do meet weekly with our school counselors, social workers, psychologists. Darren Collins we have as an attendance person within the district. He does a number of home visits when necessary. We set up plans student by student based on attendance needs on a week-to-week basis. That could range from individual conversations with students when we notice for a week they've missed a couple days, to calling staffings with parents, seeking help from outside agencies, home visits, things like that. But again, it's on a case-by-case basis based on a student's attendance. So again, we want to reduce that by 5%. The next one is increasing our graduation rate by 5%. So academic supports, so some things we're doing differently in the high school this year is getting ahead with our seniors in terms of what they need to get on that stage at the end of June. So for example, we might have a student that has passed an English 11th grade Regents and failed the class. So we have opportunity through Questar to do some credit recovery in cases like that, where they could pick up another credit and do credit recovery through Questar to free up their schedule to earn more credits. So senior by senior, case by case, we look at each one, what they need. Right now, we have about 30 students set up with credit recovery. So that's a positive, and then academic support is needed. So we might have a student that is struggling to pass a math Regents that will provide AIS services to for a semester or 2 semesters if needed. The other is improve Regents passing rates by 10%. I'll look at the June Regents scores at the end of June, see if we went up from this year to last year. The NWA is the new assessment that I was talking about that we're doing from the elementary through 11th grade. We do it 3 times a year. English and math, we just completed. We're going to start looking at that data, meeting in PLCs, assessing it, and putting plans in place for students that may need more assistance in those courses. And then focus on Regents prep. Again, the Regents exams are given in January, June, and August, so prior to all 3 of those testing windows, we'll do Regents prep. And then, again, looking at the PLC information in those meetings with our staff. And the last priority is strengthen the restorative school culture. So the first bullet with 100% of the staff receiving restorative justice PD is just more about ensuring common language and buy-in with the staff. The second, we're going to try having two nights where family and community members could come in and go through a circle so that if they're interested, they could see what we do with our staff and students. We're also going to train 10 to 15 students this year to be able to facilitate and run a circle. And then with it, 4 times this year, we're going to have students practice what they were trained in. And then we do have monthly restorative meetings with our team and the woman that oversees the grant, and we are going to look at data within that on top of like what we're going to try to do in the building, but we're going to look at data of the participants that have been trained in being able to run the circles, if that had an impact on any behavior or academic things within them within the high school. And the rationale with the restorative is it builds trust, strengthens relationships, which in turn supports attendance, engagement, and achievement. So Blue Hawk Academy. So as Dr. Bailey said, this is it's the 3rd year with Blue Hawk, and this is the 3rd different year that it's different. So quickly, year 1, it was second half of the year. Students were, the space has been the same. It's new tech wing, but it was completely virtual. None of our teachers taught the students. The time that they came and left was different. So that first year, when the high school bell rings at 2:37, the students that were at Blue Hawk at that time wanted to leave at 2:37. And then they felt completely separated and disengaged from the high school. So last year, same place, normal school day, 8 to 2:37. But we still felt that they should have separate classes for the most part, other than like art, music, and PE from the rest of the student body. The problem with that was it was a strain on the high school schedule, or we were paying 6 assignments as a district. So an example of strain on the schedule is I might have been able to squeeze it into, let's say, a math teacher's schedule as one of their 5 classes. When that happened, it increases class size of the other 4 sections, okay? And the students still felt separate from the rest of the building. So this year, they had, and I'll get into what the schedule is after. Let me go over who's a part of it, because the next slide talks about what the structure is this year. So this is the staff. Larry Walker, who's with me tonight. Katie Davis, school counselor. Darnell Harris is a driver. Eric Gregory, TA. Mr. Gahuli is a social worker, and Megan Platt's a substitute administrator. And just let me stress that the staff, this isn't just Blue Hawk staff. They are imperative to the high school and other parts of the district. So Larry Walker does restorative, and he does a lot with Blue Hawk, but he also does a lot with the high school and the junior high school. Katie Davis is the school counselor for Blue Hawk, but she also has half of the high school, 10th through 12th grade. Darnell Harris is a driver and monitor. He is transporting students to get here on a daily basis, multiple times a day. Mr. Gregory does a lot of academic support with the Blue Hawk students, but he also pushes in a number of classes that the Blue Hawk students are going into to assist the high school teachers. Mr. Gahuli has students on his caseload in Blue Hawk and in the high school, and Ms. Platt's a substitute administrator, but she starts her day at Blue Hawk but works within high school, junior high, and elementary. So Blue Hawk, its program is designed to support students to help them overcome barriers that they having in maybe a traditional school setting. All of our students in the high school get supports. Students in Blue Hawk, they have just extra eyes on them, more people involved, a greater need to try to meet their needs on a daily basis. It serves just 9th through 12th graders. If you were on the board before, it was a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 the first year. Last 2 years, it's just been 9th through 12th grade. So this is the structure of it this year. So they come in first period. It's a circle every morning with Mr. Walker. We have a video on here, so I'm not going to talk about you'll see a little bit of what the circle looks like and what it does. So I'm not going to repeat myself. They then, after circle, go about their day on a regular schedule, okay? So based on where they are with the staff in Blue Hawk, we determine greatest need for support in classrooms to help those students and teachers. If their schedule allows, Mr. Gregory will help 8th or 9th period for academic support. Sometimes it doesn't because it could be a student that there's not enough time in the schedule and they need to be in other classes for more credits. Mr. Walker.
Thank you. I feel like I don't got nothing else to say. You said it all. But anyways, so we have our 9th graders. We got 17 students now. We usually have more younger kids coming from the 8th grade because we really want to put that foundation in the kids. We try to get them right when they're young, so we can give them the tools. We want to give them some. We want to give them the tools and give them some stuff that they need to be able to come to the next grade because at that time, we know the hormones is going out of whack and the kids is real hyper. So we just try to take time with them right there and see if there's going to be a place for them. About the time 10th grade comes, we'll have a couple, maybe some says, I liked it, but this was a good program, but I feel like you guys helped me out pretty good, and maybe some may leave. And then we'll keep working with them. Just because they leave Blue Hawk doesn't mean that we're going to cut them off, you know. But we'll continue to work with them. But our goal is when a kid starts, we want to really just give them the tools and help them to get past that hard time. Coming from 8th grade, middle school, bringing it to the high school, it's pretty hard. So we want to do that. All right. So one of our big things is we take attendance really, really serious. It's a lot of different things about what we do with attendance. Some kids that first of all, we got a Blue Hawk van that we got. It's our van that the school uses that when a kid needs a ride, our driver will go out there, go pick the kids up. We have a good relationship with majority of the parents, and we see what's going on. And because of the fact that we are such a small group, we could really get more intimate with what's happening at home, you know. Like we'll take time out and the family may be going to an emergency, but we could slow down a little bit, you know. We give the kids a chance and the parents a chance. Sometimes they come in, we may sit down with the family and we could talk, you know. A lot of times on the wide basic school, we don't have that, that's not really there, but we could do that here in Blue Hawk, you know. Sometimes, you know, a lot of kids may be having some anxiety, maybe some of them with some depression, some of them, but it's a lot of different things, you know, but we here to basically try to take care of that, you know. Oh yeah, and another thing is at any time we do home visits too. You know, we do home visits, so we may just be all of a sudden like a Tuesday, we don't see a kid for 2-3 days, we'll come by and stop by knocking on the door, hey, how you doing, is everything all right? Because we never know what's going on, you know, and I believe that sometimes the parents appreciate that because not just the kids, but sometimes the parents is going through a lot of stuff too. You know, a lot of times we just focus on the kids, but the parents could be going through some of the same stuff or even more. So in a lot of different ways, we try to support that whole family. Yes, 1 second. But yeah, we do circles every single day. It's funny because people say, how could you do a circle every single day? Doesn't that get bored? But we switch it up. I actually happen to have 4 kids, right? And I have to keep them from not being bored. I remember, I'm thinking like Christmas time, I may go buy a computer, a phone, PlayStation, whatever it may be. And then 2 hours later, one of my kids say, Dad, I said, what's going on? I'm bored. I don't think I said you bored. I mean, so I understand that kids could be bored, but one of the things we specialize in and keep having something for the kids to do. We play numbers of games. We make the kids think differently, step outside the box. We just really want to build their self-esteem up. We want to give them the tools that they need so when they get not just high school, but some stuff they can have in life, you know. I wish that I had a program that I can go through that people's going to slow down and listen to me and not understand, you know, I mean, the different things that goes on, that somebody's going to listen to me and be able to discuss the feelings you got, you know. And I think sometimes school is fast for a lot of kids, you know. It's a lot going on. There's a lot of people, and a lot of kids get looked over a lot, you know. But one of the special things about Blue Hawk, we slow it down, and we can get in a really intimate conversation with them. You know, we got social workers, we got guidance counselors that's going to be there for them. And speaking on that, I'll think about our guidance counselor, Ms. Davis. She's excellent. She's an excellent social worker. Let me tell you, I mean, she's a guidance counselor. Do you realize every birthday she bringing cupcakes for the kids? That's what kind of community we're building there. They can have a cupcakes. I mean, and the kids like, what? I've been having a birthday every day, but I get cupcakes for my kid. It's those small things that we try to bring to those kids, right? That blows their mind. And sometimes quarterly, I may say something like, if this is not the program for you, let me know, you know, because we be in the hallways looking for them, whatever, if it's a problem. And there's no pressure, you can leave. Nobody leaves. Everybody want to be there. You know why? Because to them, it's a home. It's a place they can be to, a safe place, you know? And to me, I think it's awesome. But I'm sorry about that. All right, so before I start this video, but I do want to say I want to thank the IT. Thank IT so much. IT, well, listen, we wanted to put this together, and the whole IT came together. They put it together. They did a great job. I want to do a special thanks to Charles, because he was able to sit down and we went through it together. But thanks for listening. This is a little video we put together for you to get an idea how the program is. Here we go.
Why'd you pick teaching here?
Oh, you know, I wanted to go for one, I love kids. I've been working for OCFS for maybe 23 years. A lot of the kids that I work with there, they're going to be serving life sentences. I feel like I did my time, you know. I work with them a lot, but actually I have 3 other kids in this school district, and I'm like, why don't I just come to the school that I was raised at, and then my kids there, and then do the best I can do with these kids, you know. So if I could be able to be a person that's going to help out kids before they get in trouble, I'm thinking that would be good. You know? If I can stop before they get there.
I've been in the program for about like a year, you know, and it helped me a lot socially, physically. Learned some new vocabulary, some new responsibilities now, and now I have more fun. You know, laid back after I got out, awesome, you know, basketball classes.
Coming up, you know, I had some social anxiety myself. Sometimes I felt uncomfortable around a lot of kids, and I knew how that was, you know. And so when I see a lot of kids that we got here, my heart goes out to them. And
it's a need that I feel like they need that person. They need somebody. They need a program to be there for them. You know, a lot of times they get, you know, looked over and they be in a situation and you know, it's just crazy. But that's what I'm here. I want to be there.
Honestly, that's why I stuff was like this. I don't know. I come out of my shell now. I get to know more people. Confidence. I guess. But like,
yeah, the staff here, they really care about you. I feel like the staff here, they tend to they care more about your health and safety. Obviously, they care about your academically, but they always make sure you go first for your job.
yeah.
When you were playing the games with them today, how do you think that helps with their education?
Well, you know, it's fun out of the games that I play and the things that I do. They think it's just to have fun. But what happens is, I'm planting the seeds and planting the seed with them. I'm taking a chance. We're working on confidence. We're working on self-esteem. You know, and the more we play, the more comfortable they get. And I know that the inside is helping them out.
Is Mr. Walker. He's great for moral support, and he's helped me a lot with my anxiety and panic attacks. And Mr. Gray has brought a lot of food in. Okay, that also really helps.
Awesome. Last question. You can say it in 1 word, 2 word, 8 words, whatever you like. What would you say to future Blue Hawk students?
Oh, this program is great. Okay, you get food. You know, come down here whenever you need to break the class. It's wonderful.
I put one of my kids in the program first because he was going down the wrong path. I needed a little help to guide him in the right direction, and someone recommended to put him in the Blue Hawk Academy. I tried it, and it kind of like stayed with him now. They're both doing good so far.
So we've been with Blue Hawk since the beginning. I have long been a believer in alternative learning programs, and it's a very warm, supportive environment that works well for students who don't thrive in traditional educational environment. They're given a lot of backup, and I think that's incredible.
Future Blue Hawk students, if you listen and pay attention, you'll get through a year easy.
I want to thank Mr. Walker for really being there for us and holding the hawk together.
Yeah, I want to thank Mr. Walker also because
He's the one that's holding us down. So.
he's also the only staff member left. I do miss Peter's, but you know what? Besides Mr. Walker, the circle every day.
He checks on this.
Really?
He cares about us.
It's all the action. And it's not just like his hands.
Fine. Just come on in, enjoy. Because we open an arm, we'll be here for you. We gotta meet you where you at. And all we wanna do is see you grow. And if any kid come here, we're gonna take care of them the best we can.
Thanks, Mr. Walker. So I'm going to give you a little bit of data. Before I get into that, I just want to say there's 2 9th grade students in Blue Hawk that last year flat out refused to go to any class at all. And they're going. It's not perfect, but huge steps from 8th graders last year to where they're at right now, and I would say it's only going to get better. So this first slide about data, and I know it was last year's 8th graders, our new 9th graders. We're only 30 days into the school year, but last year's 8th graders, their GPA was just under a 60, and right now, again, it's only the first 30 days, but it's over 71%. And this is just a bar graph of that by student. We want the yellow higher than the blue. So this is related to attendance, 8th grade, 24 days on average per student, and then we're at 4.1, again, first 30 days. We can do that, look at this halfway through, toward the end of the year, what type of difference it made. You get a better snapshot with the 10th graders and the 11th graders. This is just out of 7 sophomores, 6 of them had higher academic improvement, 4 and 2, but 2 of those juniors weren't in the district as 8th graders, and 1 was only here part of 10th grade. It's just bar graph by student. So these are the 11th graders. So with this, you're looking at 8th, 9th, and 10th. We want the yellow highest, gold highest. And attendance related to the current 10th. And then the current 11th. Student 3 there was the one that wasn't here in district before, but certainly had a significant reason to not be in attendance last year. And then, I mean, data's promising. Early indicators are they're showing academic improvement. Attendance is increasing. Going to continue to monitor the data, implement more things to be proactive with those students, and continue to engage the families. As Mr. Walker was talking about the attendance stuff, a huge piece is they're there first period. So if they're not there, the staff is on the phone immediately, and I hear over the radio, Mr. Harris, can you get someone to go pick up so-and-so? So it's immediate with those students just because they're either here or they're not first period. It is, I mean, obviously this is the 3rd year of the program, 3rd different model we're using, but I strongly feel that if this program wasn't in place for a lot of these students, they'd be struggling much more if they're struggling right now. He said there's never been a fight in Blue Hawk. So that's what Mr. Walker and I have. Questions? Ms. Howard.
I have 2 questions, actually. With all the critical thinking being done in the Blue Hawk Academy, it's nice to see that. Just real quick, the van that you have, is it possible to use the van to transport parents for Meet the Teacher Night or things like that?
We've done it. I just did it for our Meet the Teacher Night. Absolutely.
And the other question that I had was, you mentioned Questar credit recovery. What does that look like?
So we buy slots. So we have 30 slots. It's overseen by a Questar teacher, and so let's say it's for English 11. They take it for every unit, a pre-test, post-test. So if they do well on the pre-test, they can go right to the next unit. The teacher oversees it. We work closely with a woman from Questar that is constantly emailing myself and the counselors if a student isn't staying up to where they should be within the program. Right now, the Questar woman is here like one day a week, and we'll meet with the students that are in the recovery, and then they're assigned to study halls if possible to work on it. If their schedules are full, like some are, they're required to do it on their own.
2 questions also. One, thank you. The thoroughness of the Blue Hawk data is really great and really helpful. What's the referral process? How do students end up in Blue Hawk Academy?
So they meet with, the counselors will meet with the 8th grade teachers. So teachers can recommend students that they feel would be a fit for the program. Parents can, and students can themselves. So.
Can students enter after 9th grade? Like if there was a student who started strong in 9th grade but needed support in 10th, could they
Absolutely.
be added to the cohort?
Yep. And then there's a process after. So if the teachers are recommending somebody, there's an application, the staff meets with the student, then would meet with the family, and then there's a contract that they would sign.
And then related to your data goals for high school, do you have any, I don't expect you to like pull a percentage off the top of your head, but In terms of reducing the chronic absenteeism and the strategies you've tried in the first 30 days of school, do you have any like anecdotal data on whether or not chronic absenteeism is down in the data
It's
polls
not
you've
down
done the
right
first
now
month?
from last year. So
Okay.
especially with the high school, you get some students that are older, 17 or older, and you might have students that have left the country that just haven't enrolled somewhere else yet. So you're weeding through some of that, who's really coming back and who isn't, but until they are taken off the rolls, then they're still counting against us. So it takes a little bit of time for that to work itself out.
Does that data get backdated at some point, or does that?
It gets corrected.
Okay, all right.
I mean, right now, I think at the high school, we're at 21% chronically absent. Yes.
So previously you mentioned that the Blue Hawk Academy students feel a disconnect from last year. Is there any movements or like things you've done this year?
I think the way the schedule was last year, they still felt disconnected. I haven't heard that so much this school year because they're in all classes with everybody else.
Oh, I have another question. You showed a graph on attendance. Is there a reason why you showed the full 8th grade year for attendance missed, and then only the first 30 days for 9th graders?
So the 9th graders have only been in the building for 30 days.
So it's this year's data?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So at the end of this year, that'll be 2 full grass. For a full year of 8th grade, this is what the percentage was, and full year of their first year here as 9th graders, this is what their percentage was.
Thank you.
Yes.
I had some questions about the graduation rates. Where did we end up last year in terms of our graduation rate?
69%, I believe.
69%. And how many seniors are in this year's cohort?
117, off the top of my head.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're talking like 7, 8 kids to get us to that 5%. Okay. Great.
More if possible, higher if possible.
Yeah.
Just wondering, do you keep track of whenever the vehicle goes out, or you do in-home?
We have to fill out paperwork.
You do?
So
Okay.
we have to do whoever's driving it, and only certain people can drive it, you have to do a physical check of the vehicle before driving it, after driving it, and then hand in the mileage before, after, and.
Well, not as much for the vehicle, for the student that you're going to keep track of.
How many times?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question. In terms of attendance, Derek, I'm just wondering, it seems like, I mean, it's an issue in all 3 buildings. So do you have any ideas or thoughts on what didn't work last year and how you're changing, or what are you doing differently? What are you doing in Blue Hawk that you can use, the successes from that to transfer over?
What we've done differently is, like, we have individual interviews and questions and keep track of that, and then include the families, which we were doing differently because Mr. Brenneman kind of oversees the whole attendance process district-wide, so building by building has created more consistency with what we're doing and processes related to that. Where we struggle, though, is if everything we do, if we still can't get that student to come here, there's no one that is making them come. So we need to convince them, and we do what we need to do in terms of reaching out to outside agencies, but I think they're so overwhelmed as well that it doesn't seem the student that misses 80, 90 days that they get here.
I have a question about the support system that there used to be SPOA, single point of action, where we worked as the community members, everybody worked together.
That's still there.
It's still there, but it doesn't seem to be.
There's other agencies too,
Yeah.
other referrals, and it might not just be that. It could be they're dealing with anxiety, so you're looking for different service providers. Some cases it works, some cases it doesn't.
And then I had a question about the Blue Hawk Academy. I lost my train of thought, sorry. So how do they, you said they can kind of choose to go in and choose to go out? So what's the procedure or the criteria for getting in?
Oh, for getting in?
And to go out, or what,
Well, once they're in, if they wanted to go out, they would have to have a meeting with myself, Blue Hawk staff, the parents, everybody involved, and we would go through why. Do you really think this is the best option? These are the supports that we are providing you. We think that this is beneficial more so than not being in the program, but some have chosen to leave. But we would go through all those steps before that would happen. And then the other question was, if they're recommended, what happens and how do you go about it? The process is there's an application, we interview the student, we have a meeting with the parent,
Right,
and
you-
then if
you
that
had said
all,
that.
yeah.
And with, do you have students that you've recommended that they no longer need the services? Or
Mhm.
typically it's, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the idea. By the time they get to 10th and 11th and 12th grade, that Mr. Walker and the staff there are there as a support if they need them. They don't necessarily need to go to Circle every day, but hopefully they've grown so much as a student and can advocate for themselves, have more self-confidence that they're okay with that structure instead of needing all those supports.
And one last question, this has to do with scheduling. There was a consultant that was working with the district last spring that was supposed to solve all the problems. She was like a scheduling guru, quote unquote, right?
Yep.
But whatever happened with that? I mean,
She gave us her recommendations.
Okay.
We used some, we didn't use some. Some of them it
Okay.
just didn't, it wasn't feasible with the staff that we had.
And that was for the junior high as well, or no?
Junior, senior high.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
No problem. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you very much.
I was just going to say, based on the conversation, before we post the presentation as part of the minutes, we'll go back and we'll add that data that you asked about, which is about chronic absenteeism, academic success, and improvement on the Regents exams, so that the 5% or the 10% makes more sense in relativity. But thank you. You okay to invite the Penrose folks up?
Sure, go for it.
So we're very grateful to be joined by some members of the Penrose team. They presented to the board before I arrived here. And as we are approaching the referendum in November, we thought it would be a smart idea to have someone come and just refresh everyone's memory about what it is we're speaking about when we're talking about annexing of the property.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey. Good evening, everyone. I want to start, because I know many of you met my colleagues, by introducing myself. I am new to the project, but not new to Penrose. I'm here with Evan Bopp. My name is Lindsay Sampsey. I'm a senior developer at Penrose. I've been there 9.5 years, just over 9.5 years. Many of you probably met Jonah and Dylan. Jonah has since left, so Evan and I are taking over. I was thrilled to be able to tour the facility today. Thank you to Tyler. It's a really cool property. I understand there's a lot of memories associated with it. It's very important to the community. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be involved here and to remind all of you of what the proposal is in advance of the vote. Am I pressing? There we go. So I won't redo everything. I know many of you are familiar with who we are, but I do want to remind everyone. So our company is called Penrose. We've been in existence for about 50 years and specialize in affordable and mixed income housing. We have a lot of experience with historic adaptive reuse, which is obviously what would be at the JLE school, And then we also want to talk about today the development concept, the terms of what we all work together on for the sale, and the project timeline. So we are based in Brooklyn. We actually have offices in many different states, but a Brooklyn office. You can see here there are a lot of team members based in Brooklyn. I actually sit in Philadelphia, but am often in the New York office along with Evan. We've worked very, very closely with HCR, who is the housing finance agency in upstate New York, and have preserved, constructed over 1,700 affordable housing units in partnership with HCR, and have preserved over 2,000 units planned in the pipeline. Again, I mentioned our expertise is really utilizing the low-income housing tax credit program, which is really the most efficient funding source for providing true affordable housing that is deed restricted and where the rents are capped. So we have completed over 47 historic rehab projects totaling about 2,300 residential units all over the country, most notably recently in New England and also in New York. So the development concept that we are proposing for the repurposing of the John L. Edwards School is really a rehabilitation and adaptive reuse utilizing historic tax credits and low-income housing tax credits. Those funding sources would allow us to provide 65 units of senior affordable housing with a bedroom mix of studios and one-bedroom apartments, as well as 20 units of supportive housing for the seniors that we would serve at the property. As part of the program and the funding that we're using, all of the units the rents would be restricted to 60% of the area median income or below, which is great. So that comes out to about $1,100 a month for those 60% units. We are also proposing amenities, including a fitness center, which we do at many of our properties, common areas, and then a community garden, a stroll path, and outdoor green space for the community and for the residents. And you can see on the right is the proposed site plan, and below that are some preliminary renderings of the building. This is the proposed design and potential floor plans and units. So the design team actually prepared the schematic designs for a few of our funding applications that have gone in, and this really, I think, most efficiently repositions the building into the senior apartments in terms of studios and one bedrooms, but then allows us to retain the historic fabric of the school, which I think is really important to the community and important to our mission in New York and across the country. One of the most notable exterior additions would be a new elevator tower. This would improve accessibility, which obviously is a priority for seniors that we serve. And then in addition, we are proposing a solar array on the building for on-site power generation and to offset utility usage. So we do also provide utility allowances to the seniors to help them pay for utilities. So this all-electric building would allow for a more efficient property and more efficient utility usage. So in terms of the terms of sale and the timeline, I think since we last presented, or since Jonah last presented to the board, we've hit some new milestones, which is very exciting. The SHPO Part 1 submission has gone in, so that is really part of the process to be able to be eligible for the historic tax credits. We also submitted our 9% tax credit application, which is the competitive round of funding and really the majority of the funding for this project. And then the city, approved by Common Council, was the rezoning effort for the school as well. Upcoming, of course, we have the public vote, which is why we're here today to remind you all of our proposal. The Part 2 with the State Historic Preservation Office in New York, and then we hope to receive the competitive 9% low-income housing tax credit award. We would think probably the first quarter of next year. So just a reminder, the purchase price that we have proposed and agreed to is just about $2.1 million. We executed the purchase and sale agreement in April with a 4-month due diligence period, at which time we deposited $100,000. And then this is the next big milestone here to remind you all of the proposal and, of course, go to the public vote next month. If that is approved, we would hope to again get the low-income housing tax credit award in March and close, pretty shortly after that. So we're looking at a early summer, maybe early to mid-summer closing, meaning all of the financing is done. We can start construction, and then a little over a year in terms of the construction period. So, we have the potential to be fully occupied, serving more than 65 seniors at the property by the first quarter of 2028. I think that's all I have, but happy to answer questions.
What would happen if you weren't awarded the credit?
If we weren't awarded the 9% credit, we would reapply. So we would most likely need to exercise an extension option to be able to reapply in the next round.
Okay, thank you.
The net rent, the $1,000, what does that include aside from the facilities use? Do they also have to pay for electricity, wireless, and
so we offer utility allowance. So the net rent is less that. So we'll give them money for their utilities. So the only thing on top of the highest rent in the building, and then it's income tiered below that as well. The only thing in addition to that would be, cable and internet.
And also, you say seniors. What is the age?
It's 55 plus.
55 and older?
Yep.
How many parking spaces are included and how many units?
Okay, so there's 65 units. I was just there today trying to count the parking spaces. I will get back to you on that. We do have the count there, but I don't have it off the top of my head right now.
Great. Any other questions? Oh, thank you very much for. Can you sign up for public comment? Oh, you did? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, folks at home won't be able to hear you. Can you come up to the microphone? Thank you.
Wait.
Come on up and use the microphone. Sorry, my fault.
Does the $2.15 million cover the debt on the building currently?
Yeah, the question is, does the $2.15 million cover the debt on the building? And yes, it does.
Okay, all right, what's the current debt?
Right now, it's probably around 1.7, 1.6.
Okay. And I know that there will be a parking plan provided, but when it was an active school, there was a big issue with it essentially being a 5-way intersection. So has there been a plan put in place to quell the traffic congestion and make the flow more reasonable?
So actually when I was there today, I had the same comment. So we were talking to our civil engineers about it. But yes, we've done a traffic study for the area, and we are looking at not changing, but modifying the main entrances and the circulation to allow for the traffic to flow better. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have our board reports. Start with the audit committee.
The audit committee has not met, but as I understand, the audit is on target to be completed on time, and we will establish a meeting once we get word from the auditor.
Great. Facilities committee.
Sorry. A little bit of allergies. So we met with Tyler and staff today and talked about a number of things. I think top of everybody's mind is the update on the capital project. We went over some of the details there. I think highlights include the fact that we're continuing to meet with the architect and district staff together. There was a meeting on the 9th of this month, and we're reviewing drawings. A couple of updates as people move forward with the project. So sorry, I haven't coughed until this very moment. Timing is always a thing. So I think some of the things to note are things like updates to the sidewalks in the bus loop and MCIS. There's some deteriorated pavers that are going to be replaced, which is a good safety note, that we will see a safer walking surface in that area, and some for the junior and senior high school as well. As we know and we've seen in our various presentations, bathroom updates, they're on track, including ADA updates to those spaces. I think some of the things that have wide appeal are issues with the swimming pool repairs. We're trying to not only look at the retiling, but look at some of the things that we need. There's a 56-year-old pool, if the number stuck correctly in my head. So some of the balancing the things we need to do with things that we could do while staying within budget. It's an aging space, and we're evaluating there, doing further evaluation there. The tennis courts are on track as well. We talked about adding striping for pickleball in addition to tennis during the resurfacing, and ways to make those occupy the same space successfully. It's widely done, and pickleball, with its incredible popularity, could be a good thing to be able to bring to the community. The greenhouse is moving forward. It's maybe experiencing delays based on some paperwork with Grospan, the company that we're working with to erect it. Nevertheless, we're working on getting the raised beds and other items that we can move forward with going in the meantime. So even if the building, if we're facing paperwork issues with the building, then we're still moving forward in other ways. The energy performance, or EPC, contract was signed September 30th, which I think has already been made widely known. Let's see, the first goal that we're working on is finalizing some designs for the boiler. But in general, this is pushing forward, I think, very successfully. We can all be looking forward to advancements there. There's a number of dribs and drabs, but I think I've been talking for a while, and I want to make room for other folks to report as well.
LeBona?
Oh, I have a question. What is the greenhouse going to be used for?
It is, and I don't know that I'm ready to speak elaborately on the plans for it, as I'm primarily overseeing the program for installing it, rather than the way the building will be programmed and used. But we're looking specifically, we've talked about it being used for agricultural class. So we have an agriculture teacher who's already envisioning the way that space will be used, and we're developing raised beds and things like that, so she's already looking at how that will be used. So it's outside of my particular purview here, how it will be used, just getting it in properly.
I just want to add one thing, because it's pretty exciting, I think, as part of the grant, correct me if I'm wrong, but a portion of the food produced in the garden is going to be utilized or eaten, prepared in the cafeteria. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Policy Committee.
Awesome. Our expanded policy committee met last week. It's the second time we've met as a group that has members of the community as well. Once again, we split into two groups to be able to sort of divide and conquer and tackle all the things. So one group wrapped up a whole chunk of IT policies that really needed to be updated for this year, and just sort of brought into the current practices of what we're doing. Those are on the policy section of our agenda under a first read there. And then the other group began to bite off what is a very large piece, which is revamping our HR and personnel policy section. So we took a look at what exists in Hudson, compared it to some other districts, sent everyone off with some homework to look at some other districts, and just sort of cull some best practices. We're also going to reach out to NYSBA, who we've contracted to do some additional policy support this year, and really think about the systems and the structures and the organization to all of that, because it really is a large chunk of it's not one policy that we're talking about revising. It's sort of revamping a whole series of them, and really making sure that fits in the right places within our policy book in general. If folks haven't seen, out in the ether there. Our policies are all over on board docs now, and so they should be easier to kind of like flip through within board docs so you can take a look at what's there, what we're working on. And yeah, that's where we're at, and I can answer any questions about the like specific policies once we get, I think, to the policy section of the agenda.
Perfect. So board president's report. First, I'd like to welcome Mike to the board.
Thank you.
Look forward to having your voice be a part of the discussion. On October 7th, we had our second board retreat of the calendar year, facilitated by Mark Snyder from NISBA. We focused on communication process and workflow and the process of developing board goals, which we will talk about again later on in this meeting. Continuing the theme of professional development, I'd like to commend Leslie for attending NISBA clerk training. We've already seen some changes to our process and agenda. Similarly, Mike and Dr. Bailey will be attending the NISBA conference in New York City later this week. Last update is on the superintendent search process. Reached out to 5 different firms, prioritizing firms that have experience working with districts of our size and within our region. Reached out to 5 of them. 1 firm declined, 1 did not respond, and we received 3 proposals, which the board will review together in executive session. Following that, we would plan to invite some to speak with the board in a further meeting, and ideally make our decision at one of our board meetings in November.
I have a question. It's unrelated, but I remember last meeting there was something about a new finance committee. I was wondering what is going on with that?
Amanda will have an update for that in the policy section. So you'll notice on the agenda we have a new policy section. In the past, we've always listed our policies out in new business or old business, but one of the things that Leslie learned at her training was that it's best to keep the policies in their own section. So we should be, we'll have a second reading of the Finance Committee charter, and then immediately after that, if it's approved, designate the committee members to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So that does bring us to our first executive session. Be it resolved, I make a motion for the board to enter into executive session at 7:09 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the employment history of a particular person or persons.
Second.
All in favor? And again, thank you for your patience in advance. We will try to be as quick as possible. session at 7:40 p.m.
Second.
All in favor? Brings us to the personnel agenda. Oh. Apologies, lost my internet. Matt, you want to call this out?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve personnel agenda items A1 through 7 and B1 through 11. No, I'm sorry. Did we get a 12th now? No, that's informational. Sorry.
12, yeah. Oh, no,
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
12 wasn't voted on.
All in favor?
Who's the
Do we second?
Oh, second.
Second.
Maureen. Now all in favor. That brings us to our public forum. Leslie, did anybody sign up?
First, we have Vinnie Hamilton.
Okay, great. Reminder to everybody, each speaker has 3 minutes to speak. We cannot entertain any comments about school district personnel or students, and please don't expect a response tonight. We want to take time to research your questions and inquiries. We'll be sure to get back to you when we have the correct answer. Okay.
Hi. I just wanted to give like the perspective of what it's like as a Blue Hawk student, because I don't want my program to be shut down. I really like it there. The circles really help, and it's nice having them every day. I like that we have Mr. Harris to drive because it's actually really helpful. I know a lot of students need rides, like most of my friends, honestly. I think that Mr. Gregory helps us a lot with work. Like, I can tell all of you, I would not have passed last year if I was not in Blue Hawk. I think that it's good for community. I've made a whole lot of friends just from being in Blue Hawk, and I think that that's good. And blah, 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 blah. Blue Hawk is good. I don't want to talk anymore.
You did great.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Mark, can I ask a question to that?
Yeah.
I have a question. Come on back down.
Just when you thought it was over.
Yeah.
Being a student in that program,
Mm.
do you see anything that could be changed to improve it? Like any different programs or anything like that?
No, it's pretty good the way it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for speaking tonight.
Thank you.
Proud of that kid. So first, I'd like to thank the staff of the Academy for all of the support that they have provided with my son over the last 3 years. Why are things imploding right now? For good or ill, HCSD, like many other districts, is in the difficult spot of trying to improve both academic performance, behavioral issues, all post-COVID. All of our kids suffered learning loss and were, to an extent, traumatized by fear and isolation. Social graces, basic societal norms fell to the wayside. We as adults even experienced it. Our children, our children with their brains still developing had an extremely hard time when they returned. Life was different. And what filters they had before were gone, and things spiraled. And I think that every teacher and staff member and administrator in this district really has felt that. Then then the academy came on the scene, and the initial concept was different, a school within a school, but the social and emotional pieces were desperately needed. I've watched the program evolve over time, and while there have certainly been issues with instruction, varying degrees, 1 year, none at all. The support has been invaluable. I'm encouraged by Mr. Reardon's shift to restorative justice school-wide, and understanding and empathy and compassion are key for all of us, but certainly for our kids. I think absolutely critical for them to understand, and gaining understanding of each other. We all have differences, but there's a lot of commonality there. Our Venn diagrams definitely overlap, and they will not learn that in the absence of that kind of openness. Punitive measures do very little and are so often a perpetual cycle. Not every child believes or belongs in a traditional learning environment. We all, as human beings, benefit from being heard and supported, and I believe that the Academy gives our students that space. Not everyone is cookie cutter. ALP, sorry, I'm almost done.
Yeah, thank you.
ALPs have been around, for a while, for decades. I mean, I remember the alternate school. Zibby, you'll remember that. You'll remember that. And it's come a long way since then. And I really like where we are now with the Academy, and think that that can certainly continue to evolve. I've always said that I learned almost everything I needed to learn by the end of 8th grade. High school is more about learning how to navigate societal structure than anything else. And Blue Hawk Academy is a huge part of that for its students, and I appreciate all involved. So I just wanted to voice my support for the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Anybody else, Leslie?
Laura Bender.
Good evening, everybody. Excuse my voice, I have a bit of a cold. I wanted to say I appreciate very much the discussion that everybody had surrounding Mr. Reardon's presentation, especially all the questions about attendance. I just wanted to bring up something that I wanted to add a little bit of nuance and complexity to the attendance situation, especially at the junior and senior high school. So when we talk about attendance as a district, we tend to focus on day-to-day attendance, which is obviously very important. We need to get the kids inside the school to be able to do anything. But at the junior and senior high school, there needs to be a little bit more of a complexity regarding the conversation with the attendance, and that is class by class attendance, because we certainly have many students who are coming into the building but not making it to several classes a day. So I would appreciate if we could work that into the conversation as well, because that is also impacting success across many different class subjects. And I think as a teacher first, speaking out of frustration with the attendance, that is one of my #1 concerns, because I can try my very hardest inside the classroom, and I think all of us do, but I can't do anything with nobody in my seats. So I just wanted to add to that conversation, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
That's it.
Okay. Brings us to our consent agenda. We have a hand carry item W. Oh, my apologies.
Hi. It's my turn?
Yes, it
All
is.
right, awesome. I just wanted to give the board an update on, Mr. Mazzone presented to us on the trap club. And he and his partners in this project have developed some fantastic documents to back that up. I'd mentioned before that our insurance company gave a green light to this, along with some caveats around specifics, and they think they said something like with the National Trap Shooting Association, those guidelines around that. But they've assembled some excellent documents. They've got their charter developed. They have students who are interested. And our attorney is just looking through the documents, the parent waiver and things like that. But I expect, and we still have to have some discussions with the union, but I expect by November we'll be able to come back to the board and talk about the approval of a charter around that club. But I commend them to have got something off the ground so significantly in a short time. It's ironic that Laura was just talking about attendance, and I wanted to bring up, because we didn't have the hard data in the presentation Mr. Reardon did. It's shocking. So at the elementary school last year, 30.8% chronically absent. What that means is you just got to assume it's 10% of their 180 days. They're absent 18 times. And sometimes it's 5 days at a time, or sometimes it's a day every 2 weeks, like we've talked about. So it's pretty daunting to look at numbers like that, and I apologize. I don't have time to, I don't want to waste any time bringing up the others, but to Laura's point, they're coming to school, but if they're not in class, same problem occurs. And we have the district office, we have the senior high PA, and I can hear over the PA system doing the hall sweeps, trying to create a different behavior from the kids that are in the building. It's not perfect by any means, but I appreciate that they're trying at least some different things to get to that. And the only thing I'll add about it is that adult attendance is one of the largest indicators of student attendance. The better our attendance is as adults, the better the student attendance is, for a lot of reasons that all make sense. So we're looking at all aspects of that. I wanted to reassure you that, with a lot of the retroactive appointments for things, and we see some, again, on the agenda tonight, that Ms. Brooks, who's been working doggedly to create HR handbook, and the rest of the team have been talking about our hiring practices and making it consistent. Consistent from any job, from our coaching jobs to our instructional jobs, our teachers, our teaching aides. Without continuity, it gets very convoluted and confusing, but I we're begging your grace this one last time to retroactively appoint, and we hope that you will see little or none of that going forward, because not only is it bad business practice for us, for the Board of Education and for the district office, it sets a bad precedent and a bad taste in the mouths of our staff who think they're working on behalf of the district, and then they're not recognized in a timely manner. So we have a lot of reasons to fix that and to make those things right. A lot of things have happened in the last month. I got to go to my first homecoming game, and I should say homecoming football game, but all throughout that week, the games that were going on and the Spirit Week, essentially in every building, was really heartwarming, to see both the adults and the communities. And I see the adults dressed as twins and quadruplets and quintuplets, depending on which department they were in. Helps to lift the spirits of the kids as well. And when Mr. Reardon was asked the hard question, what gets kids to school? The answer is school has to be more important than everything else. And building a culture where kids feel welcome and loved is a part of that. Having a rigorous curriculum is a part of that. Having a supportive community and encouraging the community is a part of that. So those little things like that I'm very appreciative of. And the last thing I'll say is that we have Lauren Griffin as our new communications person. I've mentioned her before. We are genuinely interested in creating a district-wide branding that everybody who has a child in every building feels as though we're all in the same district. So the way that we communicate with families and with staff should have a similar fit and feel. So over the next few months, including the meeting of a communications committee, which I'll be sending invitations out for soon, we want the critical feedback so that we can improve appropriately. We can guess around what we think the community needs, but without having some feedback from them, it wouldn't necessarily be useful or effective. So we'll have 3 meetings up front. We'll have a meeting to just talk through what's right and what's wrong. We'll have a second meeting for strategy and a third meeting a little bit later to talk through what have we done that looks like we're getting closer to the mark. But considering the phenomenal things that happen in this district on a daily basis, in the building and outside of the building, to not be able to tell our story effectively is it's an Achilles heel. Mr. Wheeler's out there filming and sharing the footage of so many things, and we want to be able to build around that and the other streams of information that we have to do something that is meaningful. And to that point, I wanted to ask the board one question. When you look around on school districts' Facebook pages, you see a mix of comments on and comments off. And I had a conversation with a colleague who happens to run a page for one of the other Facebook pages for one of the other buildings or programs. And I said, comments breed problems. And the person quickly said, well, we just remove them. The district is not allowed to remove negative comments, even abrasive comments, even hurtful comments. I don't like, name a person. We're not allowed to. So by opening that up, we invite both sides of every argument. So I personally, and here's the especially worst thing about comments on Facebook. There's no one to answer them. It's not an email, it's not a phone call, it's not a visit. It's dropping a comment into the ether where it sends ripples out into the universe. And there's nothing to stop the ripples. We've all experienced the joys of social media. And if you haven't, good for you. I recommend that we turn comments off and we allow people to use the more productive forms of communication if they choose to do so. People are still allowed to do emojis. They're just not allowed to say, I hate or I love. It's just left to the wayside. But I could have just turned it off, but I unquestionably wanted to have a conversation with all of you. And you don't even have to make a decision tonight if you don't want to, but I wanted to discuss what is your sensibility around turning off comments that usually go unanswered. It's not a place where we can respond.
I'm all for it.
Agreed.
Yeah, seems sensible. And if people want to create a discussion, they can always repost something on their own page and communicate that way.
Yeah, it's not we don't want to do it to censor people. It's not an effective form of people expressing their concern. We would so much, because sometimes people do that and then say, I said my piece, no one did anything about it, is even worse, right? We want people to be able to say, if you have a question, contact the school. And you'll please note that, at least with the work that Lauren and I do, we consistently try and drive traffic to the website. So in other words, we might say, interesting article, sale of this property, or emergency, sorry, we rarely use that word, concerns over student attendance, threat of violence. We put a little bit on Facebook and then we drive them to the website, which at least gives them points of contact. So if they have further concerns, they can ask those questions. So at least I wanted to at least assure you it's not like it's just left out there. We try and bring people to our articles that are on our news feed on our website.
I think what makes sense to me, particularly about turning off the availability for comments, is the environment where I'm frequently dealing in a professional sense with Facebook is actually through museums, another public-facing set of organizations. Museums are not restricted from taking down comments, although they're discouraged from doing so. But almost universally, the facilities that do that have somebody dedicated to make responses and reach out directly. And we're not equipped for that. And I don't think it's the best system for us to do that. So to me, it makes sense that if we want to be able to effectively address the community concerns, then encouraging them to reach out through email and other systems by not allowing Facebook to be the I said my piece place makes sense. So I would be supportive of turning off comments. But it's a thing. So I want to make sure that people know that we're doing it in part because we want to be able to properly respond.
If, to your point, Kristen, if we were to do that as a public institution, as you alluded to, we would be censoring public comment.
Yeah.
We would be choosing who is right and who is wrong, and that we cannot be the arbiters of that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think just to Kristen's point, if we are going to do it, just notifying people this change is happening and this is why we're doing it would be important to communicate.
Okay.
And don't want to put you on the spot, but just because you mentioned it, and I know there's been a lot of talk about it, but threats of violence, there have been a number of instances in the buildings this year. Are you able to just talk briefly about how the district's been responding to that?
We had our first one approximately 3.5, 4 weeks ago, and my practice has always been, and I think it's good district practice, because in my mind, if one person knows, everyone knows, right? If a threat is made, a verbal threat is made, assume that everybody knows. It's so much more proactive and beneficial for the district to say, this happened in this setting, and we're taking action around it. And to that point, I'm very grateful that the Hudson City Police Department has been fantastic partners, both in participating in these investigations, but also in communication, and also the district attorney. After that first one, the district attorney and members of the police department were in my office, and we were having a discussion, what do we do next? And what was birthed from that was the letter that came out a few weeks ago that was, hey, families, community, if your child makes a verbal threat of violence, these are all the things that can happen, not only to the child, but potentially to the family. It could involve child protective services. It could involve a search of your home. It could involve charges. So we've communicated some of the magnitude of that via letter to families. What I'd asked the buildings to do is, after the letter went out, and each building has, by the way, because I've been in them when I've heard the PA announcements, they have almost a daily PSA on kindness, goodness, being positive, not using threatening language, all different ways of saying it and age appropriately. And what we had asked, and we had a meeting today to talk about it some more, is because it continues to happen. Maybe it's happening less frequently than it would have if we hadn't taken the actions. Because it's still happening, then we have to go to the next thing. The next thing we were talking about today is like a module, to just a 5 or 10 minute module that everyone teaches at one time to all students that says, just so you understand what we're saying when we say making a threat. If you say these words or any words like them, here's what can happen, and here's what it does to our community, and are there other ways to express yourself? So we think we've got to move it a little bit more to the ground level and universally do it for every child in a classroom where they're with people that they know and they work with on a regular basis. Not an hour and a half, just little inputs to try and remind kids of this is what we mean when we say, don't make a threat. But I think we know kids, they're impetuous sometimes, especially at certain ages. They don't think through the consequences, they just let it go. So it's our job to try and better inform them around that. But we will continue to inform the public when these things happen. I know it may make them uncomfortable, but 1,000 times more uncomfortable when it's the news media telling them that something happened. We want to avoid that at all costs.
Great, thank you for addressing that.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our consent agenda. We do have a hand carry for item W, which is a change in title and an MOA for Tyler Kreitzman, who will now be Director of Facilities 2. So I make a motion to accept consent agenda items A through W.
Second.
All in favor? Brings us to our policy section.
Awesome. One thing I want to say.
Sorry, hold on one second.
Oh.
So, what do I need to do here?
You approve the MOA, but you have to correct, this is a motion to correct the agenda from whenever it was first appointed.
Oh, 5-7, gotcha.
Right.
Yes, okay, so then, make an additional motion, to, change the date effective on, Tyler's title change adjustment to be probationary until June 30th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Just one thing, and I'm sorry I didn't catch this earlier, but in policy A, the 1120, the title of them is correct in the document, but in the title, within the document it's listed correctly, but the title of the Word doc is incorrect. It says student record regulations, student records. It's school records regulations, school records. Just one thing to note. I think because the actual document itself is correct, that's not a problem in terms of
Approving them.
moving forward with approving them, but I just want people to be aware of that those policies are not specific to student records.
Okay, great. So these are second reading. We can approve them. Just a quick summary. These are just adjusting who deals with our digital records and how requests for records and information are handled. Anybody have any questions?
I have some, I was reading through it and looking, and so I just noticed a couple of things, so I
Yes.
just want to bring it to your attention, or everyone's attention. So this is the 1120R, and it's item Roman numeral 1 and number 2. It just reads kind of, it doesn't read clearly. I have a suggestion on how it could read better, but just take a look at it and see what you think. If you don't think it's, you think it's fine, that's okay, obviously. Yeah.
We did review them in the policy committee all together
Yeah,
and
so-
shift some of the language, so I
You-
think, but
you-
I mean, we could pull it and then shift the language if there's
It's all right.
something.
The only other thing that I think might be, there is, I believe it's at the top, it talks about that the superintendent would appoint the records
Records
access-
management officer.
and then the records access officer would be the board clerk.
Yes.
But then at the bottom of the document, it's Roman numeral 7. It says indicated that the records management officer and access officer are both held by the Board of Ed clerk.
Yeah, I see that.
So that's not necessarily, I mean, that's contrary to what it says in the top.
I think it's awkwardly worded, but it's the discovery team is the school attorney, the board clerk who serves as record management officer, and the record management officer, and other personnel as needed.
You need like a serial comma or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
that's,
No,
I
these
see
are-
what you mean.
these
No, it
are
needs a
little
comma.
things, but
No,
Yeah,
they're-
no, it needs a comma. That is absolutely right, to indicate that that's like and this
Yeah.
other person, not that that person is both.
And then just one last thing is just a recommendation that the forms, so everything is going to be digitalized, yes? That's the move, is to have the forms digitalized for like FOIL requests and stuff like that. That they be like Google Forms, so that the person, if you're photocopying it, you're putting it in as a PDF, it's really, really awkward and difficult to fill those forms out and then email them electronically, which is what we're encouraging people to do, right? To get away from the paper and pencil.
Yeah, it would either, I agree with you, Maureen, that's not an improvement. It's basically the same thing if they're having
Right,
to
you'd have
print.
to either print them out and fill it out and then take a picture of it and send it back, whatever. So just,
It would be a Google form or some other form of digital.
Yeah,
A
digital.
fillable form that would submit the information.
There is, if you look at requesting records by email, there's a process to just email and what has to be included in the email instead of using the form. Does that feel like
Oh,
that
it's
covers
instead
it?
of the form?
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you look
I didn't
at
realize it
policy
was instead.
1120E, it's like there's a series of questions that have to be answered so that it's
Yes.
a formal thing. But there's
Okay.
that option to do the paper form or submit an email that has all of these things within it. So there
Okay.
is the either or option
Okay.
there.
All right.
Okay, I mean, there's nothing that requires us to adopt any of these right now. We can bring it back for another reading, and I believe we will have a policy committee meeting before we have our next board meeting. So, I mean, Amanda, are you opposed to just making those changes?
No, we can just make those changes to that one. It's
Yeah.
just to the regulation R, right, and the clarity of the language there.
Yeah, and then Maureen,
Yep.
you can just send us your suggestions for that.
First bit.
That first bit, yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll make sure we
Okay.
address it.
Okay.
Okay, next one.
Finance Committee, second read, should be good to go for approval.
Any questions? No? Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the Finance Committee charter to create a Finance Committee.
Second.
All in favor? All right, that's very exciting.
I'm realizing on that note that we didn't get the Facilities Committee charter on here as first read, so we just want to make sure we get that on for next time.
Yeah, I don't know if that one was actually quite ready. It was
Okay,
still
great.
pretty mishmashy.
Sounds good. Then it's not on here on purpose. The other ones.
I will say, though, that just the one thing about Facilities Committee, which is also exciting, is that we're taking the Policy Committee charter as a template. So Facilities Committee will be a similar type of committee that not just involves board members, but also involves members of the community who have expertise in areas that could help benefit our facilities plan moving forward. So for today, we'll just be sticking to the 3 members, but once that charter is approved, then we can, figure out who is on the expanded committee and use the same process we did for policy.
Awesome. And then everything else is up for first read, so if folks have any questions, comments, suggestions. One thing just moving forward that we're gonna make sure happens, which makes this a little trickier this time around, is moving forward, we'll make sure that on the first reads, anything that's changed is in red. So you'll be able to actually see the changes that are proposed
Yes.
more explicitly here.
Yep. And I mean, I can say that for the first bunch, C, the main changes here were sort of swapping out some titles because they had incorrect titles. And then the other exciting policy, 3 exciting policies, which is amazing, is the AI policy, which is, we're all in this brave new world, and, empowering our staff and our students to know how and when it's appropriate for them to use AI will hopefully be something that presents itself with new opportunities in the future. Okay, any other questions, comments about policies? Yeah, certainly continue to read through them, send through any feedback that you have to Amanda, and make sure that it is addressed at the next policy meeting. So with the formation of our new finance committee and a new board member, we're going to go through and redesignate committee members. We did it in July, but I think we have to rethink who's on these facilities moving forward. Start with the audit committee. As board president, I must be one of the members. Matt, I assume you would be interested in continuing to serve. And previously, Maureen, or Diana.
Yeah.
Diana. Diana, are you interested in staying on? Is there anybody else
I'm gonna
interested?
see if I can jump out and see if maybe Mike wants to get into that one, because Amanda has me really busy on this policy committee.
Okay.
Policy committee's a lot.
Well, I guess we could start with you, Mike. I mean, as a new board member, which of the are most appealing to you?
I think my forte would most likely be the facilities.
Okay.
So I would like to get onto that one. Sit in the policy committee last week as
Yes.
a spectator, and that one's definitely not for me. Not really sure what is involved on the audit committee or the finance committee.
Yeah, so, audit committee's purview is pretty strictly defined. It is something that we are required by law to have. Our functions are strictly pertaining to the internal and the external audit. So we're reviewing materials that both go to the auditors and that we receive from the auditors, making sure that we're meeting the deadlines set forth by the state, and coming up with plans to address any issues that they call out. It probably meets, we need to look at the charter, because the charter does say it meets 6 times a year. More often than not, it's been closer to 3 or 4, but we should look at that moving forward. And the finance committee, newest committee, was formed mainly out of a realization that we need to have a more robust budget process and tracking our financial health and the financial status of the district and the ways that we allocate money throughout the year, so that we're not really just talking about it in February, March, April, when it's budget season. That's what that is. And yeah, there's also nothing that says that we need to have 3 members. So if Matt and I are the only ones that are interested in audit, we can keep it that way. Our policy does also say that as board president, I'm a ex officio member of all of the committees. So if people can't show up, I can always be there to fill in for that as well.
The audit committee charter does say 3 members, so we would
Okay.
need to revise that
Thank
if we
you.
wanted to.
No, we shouldn't mess with that one. Okay, so who else wants audit?
Something I can think about, or you guys need to decide tonight?
Oh yeah, we got to do it now, but
I just don't know if it'd be my forte. So.
I'm thinking that it would be. I mean, if you want to do the policy committee, I'll definitely stay on the.
So this is for the audit?
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Okay. So then make a motion to appoint Mark DePace, Matt Macker, and Mike Zabella to the audit committee for the 25-26 school year.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, I have.
And yes, this is one that we need to be sworn in for.
And tell them that in advance.
Just the one, just the audit committee.
We're always sworn in for the year, though.
You can do it again.
Yeah, you don't.
But now you're doing it again.
Okay, and
But
this,
do they have to be again if they're not changing that?
It goes with the motion.
it doesn't hurt. And last time when we tried to read this all together as a group, it was incredibly awkward.
Yeah.
So we'll just do it one by one. I, Mark DePace, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Audit Committee member according to the best of my abilities.
I, Matthew McElroy, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Audit Committee member according to the best of my abilities.
I, Michael Zabella, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Audit Committee member.
Thank you.
All right, policy. Amanda, you'd like to stay on as chair? Okay. I'm definitely interested in continuing the work. Diana,
Yes,
you?
I'm staying on too.
Okay, great.
I have to turn in my homework.
All right. So I make a motion to appoint Mark DePace, Amanda Gruber, and Diana Howard to the Policy Committee for the 25-26 school year, and make a motion to approve the 25-26 Draft Policy Committee meeting schedule.
Second?
All in favor? All right. Facilities, so we currently have Kirsten and Maureen on it. Mike, you're...
I would like to be on that one also.
As well. Everybody good with that? So make
Does-
them...
Does that department need to have a chair?
Yes. And the protocol would be for you guys at your next
Okay.
meeting to appoint the chair. Unless
That'd be you,
The chair
Kristen.
has to have been on the board for a year, right?
I don't know. I don't know if that is.
I think so.
Thought that
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So-
then, Kirsten, you're the chair.
Yeah.
You got it. That's what I was hoping for.
Make a
I'm feeling good
motion.
about this one.
Make a motion to appoint Kirsten Gustafson, Maureen Sheridan, and Mike Zabella to the Facilities Committee for the 25-26 school year.
Second.
All in favor? All right, and finance, the new one. Who's interested in finance?
Well, I just want to make a comment that I did read about it, and they said that you really want people who know finances very, very. So I'm only on one committee. I'll do it, but I'm not that person. Thank goodness we have Matt, who is definitely that person.
Well, one thing that'll inspire you is the Finance Committee will be like the 10,000-foot view of budget development process.
Mhm.
The board will get the 30,000-foot view, but the Finance Committee will be more integral into why are we doing what we're doing, how are we going to do it. So
Okay.
that's something that will resonate with you, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that encouragement.
Yeah.
And Mark, we're not reading the end of the resolution, that's incorrect.
Yes.
Is there a sense of how frequently this committee will meet and at what time?
That's a good question. I mean, I would assume that it should be at least monthly, similar to policy. We definitely have work to do these next few months getting ready for budget season. Time is definitely TBD.
I'm looking at you thinking, and I don't know if you are balancing the demands on your time or debating your interest level. If we have a need for a third person and you feel that your time is already committed, I feel comfortable enough with budgeting processes to be a contributor and to be part of this group. If you feel a desire to be so, I will not step in front of you.
It is all yours.
All right.
Okay.
I think policy committee is pretty.
It's a demand.
Pretty full force this year, so.
So now with these committees, I know the policy, they offer some public into it, or allow some public to be into
I
it.
think all of them we're going to try.
Yep, they all need.
So do they all have public, okay, so
Yep,
same
they're all-
interview process or submission process like you did for the policy committee?
Oh, no.
The facilities and policy will have
Facility-
community
okay.
participation this year. The other ones do not.
They do, okay.
Yeah, audit committee is so specific in its scope that, and a lot of the findings get presented in these meetings anyways. And then for finance, the conversation was, since it's a new committee and it needs to sort of find its feet and figure out how it's going to operate, that at least for the near future, it would stay as just board members.
Okay.
And then if we want to open it up after that, we can. But yes, all the meetings are open to the public. So then for finance, we have Matt, Kirsten, and Maureen. Everybody good with that? Okay. So I make a motion to appoint Matt Mackerer, Kirsten Gustafson, and Maureen Sheridan to the Finance Committee for the 25-26 school year.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you. And next we have annual designations. These are two items where we just need to appoint new people to require designations based on some changes to the administrative staff. So for the first one, make a motion to appoint Alyssa Sabatino as the liaison for the education of homeless youth from September 17th, 2025 through December 31st, 2025.
Second.
All in favor? And then for the second one, make a motion to appoint the Director of Student Services to the following additional designations for the 25-26 school year: Section 504 Compliance Officer, Medicaid Compliance Officer, Opioid Program Director, Director of School Health Services, and HIPAA Compliance Officer.
Second.
All in favor? Old business, we do not have anything. Brings us to new business, which wanted to have a discussion about board goals. Marissa, would you be able to plug that up on the screen? There we go, thank you. So just to kick off this conversation, wanted to just quickly review our goals from the 24-25 school year. The first goal was student first, making sure that our first concern in decision making and priority setting was our students. There's some different objectives that we listed out, and I think we did a pretty good job of addressing these last year. The board self-evaluation was a big one that we did not get to last year, and is something that is required per our policy. So I believe my opinion is that this should still continue to remain a priority. Policy, this was to develop an ongoing policy review cycle and ensure effective operations and oversight of our policies. Obviously, we did a lot of work, changed the structure of that committee. We've hired NISBA for this year. We did state that the code of conduct policy was a priority. We need to revisit that. We did get to promotion and retention of students, and still I think there's just more work that needs to be done for the board member elect orientation. So we're obviously continuing to focus a lot on this. And then community engagement was the last one, just creating a plan to really make all of our stakeholders feel like they are given the opportunity to provide input and actively participate. We did create a welcome brochure. We have been attending more functions, and did have mechanism to recognize the compliments of teachers or staff. So those were the goals for last year. At our workshop with Mark Snyder, he did recommend a robust process of doing I think it was a SWOR analysis. I would love to, if we were on a regular schedule and doing this in July or August, have this be a really much larger discussion that takes a lot more time. But considering it is almost the end of October, I would like to prioritize memorializing our goals by our next meeting in November. So if everybody's okay with that, we can just have a brief discussion now about the status of our goals. If anybody has anything that they would like to see added, we can call that out now, and then at the next meeting have a draft for us all to adopt. But certainly if anybody wants there to be a different process or has any questions, we should talk about it now.
I do have questions and comments.
Yeah.
One question, I guess, in looking at other districts, in preparation for this, looking at other districts and their board goals, it's hard to kind of tease out the district goals and the board goals. And if we're looking at, really just looking at board goals, what we can control and what we personally are working at, they should look really different than what they do now. The second thing is that, oh my gosh, why do I keep losing my train of thought? It'll come back to me. But I do have some stuff written down. I know what it was. So the writing of the goals, I'm a special ed teacher, so I've been writing goals for years and years and years. And these aren't SMART goals. And it's kind of making me a little crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much it didn't seem like our NISBA guy was presenting SMART goals either. So is that just not a thing, you know?
Well,
like the goals, the objectives we have should be our goals, right? And then
Yeah.
those broken down. But anyway.
When I think about district goals versus board goals, the district goals would be the ones that would be more of the SMART goals, like measuring, student success and outcomes. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Bailey, but that would be a part of what the Student Success Committee is working on right now in regards to both our DSEP plans and our strategic plan.
I agree. I agree that it's the building level, and Mr. Reardon's presentation kind of presented the tip of that. It said, we're going to measure this. And of course, at the mechanical level, they need to measure it 3 or 4 times a year. You don't wait until June.
Right.
I agree, though, Maureen, that throughout looking at, the board, you could grab a board goals from Queensberry.
Right.
And it'll look like, okay, we could do that.
Yeah.
I
mean,
think
they're not
there's room-
measurable at all.
Right.
They're more of a mission statement than they are a goal,
Right.
honestly. It's like a wish list. But so I, if it's appropriate to do it right now, I can share 4 things that I.
Yeah, absolutely. Please
Okay.
do.
So number 1, appoint a permanent superintendent. Isn't that our goal, right?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that's measurable. That's
Yes.
how are we going to go about that? We have to train ourselves. We have to prepare for that. We have to.
Mhm.
So I think that's a reasonable goal. Number 2, and I also have bulleted objectives, but I won't go into that. But improve community engagement and connections, which we already have. But then that. I have the bullets that go along with that. What does that look like, Number 3, improve academic achievement. I mean, ultimately, that's what we want.
Yeah.
How do we support the school district, the superintendent and the staff? How do we, as board members do that financially, whatever it is, right? Or making suggestions. And then we also, it's a part of this, I think, part of the old, but to support the health and wellness of district staff and students. I know that Cheryl was part of that committee, the wellness committee. I don't know if it's been dissolved because Zucker was a part of it too, but that's huge. So piggybacking on that, I have some great ideas. Now, as a board, what's our role in that, right? I don't know.
Policy, there's a clear influence around that.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
I like the idea of having something about the superintendent search here, because I do think it's really important that our goals match where our time is going to be spent, and that is going to be a big chunk of time this year. And so I think it would be naive to set a whole set of goals that, like, recognizing
Right.
that is going to be a large chunk of this year's
Yeah.
time. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I agree with the academic achievement part. It needs to be a much larger part of what it is that we're talking about on a consistent basis. Granted, we can't directly, go out there and do the work that's going to
Right.
affect it, but we can we can certainly influence it. And one of the things that's been on my mind that I think would lead us to that is a board activity calendar or presentation schedule where we can say, hey, this month we want to know information about academic achievement as it relates to this school or this specific set of students or this topic, and like we need to have presentations 3 times a year so that
we can look at the
Yeah,
data,
yeah, we're
right?
looking
I mean,
at
that was one of my bulleted things, looking at student performance data,
Yeah.
right? To allocate funds and
Yeah.
to know where to put money, and also promoting the CTE programming. I mean, that's the move, to improve academic achievement. That's a whole really innovative, cool way of getting
Yep.
kids engaged and doing things differently,
Mhm.
I'd like to hear more about how the high school, the programs that they have existing now and what the plan is, future plan for that.
Yeah.
Is, but that as board members, we can, find training or support training for teachers. And those could be objectives that we could,
Yep.
and the community engagement, and that, like, we could track the number of people that participate online and participate here, and
Yeah.
try to improve that attendance here.
Mhm.
Improve our attendance at different activities, and make sure that a board member is at, different events and stuff like that, coordinate that.
Yeah, that was definitely a part of the student first goal, and we tried last year to invite different student groups to come, whether they were perform instruments or tell us about their club. And
Right.
as soon as you do that, you immediately see a big uptick in the amount of people that come to the board meetings because they're invested in their children and want to
Right.
support them whenever they do anything in public. So I thought that was successful and something we should try to build on for sure. Great. Anybody else got anything to add?
I wonder if the way to think about it then is to keep, I feel like board self-evaluation feels like something we should do, but it's more of like a task than a goal. I wonder if we can replace that big bucket with the superintendent search and name some objectives around community involvement and stuff there, and then we keep the big bucket goals, but change the objectives underneath, because I think those fall, the big buckets still feel right there. Use your SMART
Mhm.
goal sub-bullets.
Yeah, as long as we do our self-evaluation.
Yes.
We're
I'm
gonna,
not saying not
we're gonna
to
do it this year.
I just, to me, that feels like a lamer goal than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Some of the examples we were given were pretty.
Also lame.
Pretty base level goals.
Yeah.
Fair.
Just about elevating the performance of the board. I don't disagree necessarily, but
Yeah.
I've always got to put my 2 cents in.
I'd like to suggest one around budget finance specifically. Beyond just approving a budget, which we legally have to do, I think we'd like to define a clear and replicable process in budget development, so that we can ensure that we get to a budget result that is tied to performance needs, school operations, and fitting within the means of financial constraints. But again, not just for this year, but so that it's clear that there are different times a year where different functions are being executed to build it up from the needs to the finances.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would fall under that board activity calendar too, and just again being really clear about, okay, come November, we need to know all of these things, and this is what we need to be talking about in order to stay on track. All right, anybody else? Okay, so Maureen, why don't you send me and Matt your suggestions? I will try and put everything together in a draft and send it around for folks to review, and then at our next board meeting we can continue this conversation.
Sounds good.
Great. Okay, it brings us to public forum. Leslie, did anybody else sign up? Board discussion. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? Okay, brings us to upcoming meeting dates. Student Success Committee meeting Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 in the high school library, 6 to 8 p.m. Policy Committee meeting Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 in the high school library, 5 to 7 p.m. Referendum vote to sell the John L. Edwards building Thursday, November 13th, 2025, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Please come out and vote, and you can find all of the locations for voting on the district website. We will need to hold a special board meeting on that evening, Wednesday, November 13th, 2025. This auditorium, there are multiple events happening in this building on that day, so it will be in the MC Smith Auditorium. The start time is TBD. Oh, yes.
Question?
Yes, yes.
It says Thursday, November 13th.
Yes.
Is the vote, and then Wednesday, November 13th is the special meeting. Is that Wednesday or Thursday?
This Thursday.
It is a Thursday. Thank you
Okay.
for catching that.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
And yeah, the start time is TBD. It is will be based on how much regular board business needs to be conducted at that meeting. So we will let everybody know, make sure it is posted with plenty of time.
I think it's important to point out it'll be a late meeting because the
Yes,
polls don't close till 8.
polls close at 8, and so we need to be here as the results trickle in.
How soon after the polls close should we expect the votes?
Can I just say something?
Yes.
I changed the process a little bit. I picked my 3 best poll workers to lead each polling location, so hopefully it's going to be a quick night.
Yeah, great.
The only reason I asked is because for the board election, we were here till, what, midnight?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well,
There was a lot of confusion. to that in the summer.
That's why we did. That's why I did it
Okay.
that way.
Perfect. And then we have a Facilities Committee meeting Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 in the district conference room, 5 to 5:45 p.m. And we have a regular Board of Education meeting Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 in the high school auditorium at 6 p.m. This time we do have a need to enter executive session for purposes of discussing the employment history of a particular person or persons and for the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. So make a motion to enter executive session at 8:43 p.m.
Second.
All in favor? There'll be no further business after this executive session. Thank you all for being here.